What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel, and hey, happy Friday. We're here today for another episode of the Inner Sea region, a 5-minute tour. If you have any requests for this series as we round out Avestan, or if you have any requests for any of my series, as always, throw them in the comments below. We'll get right on them. Pending any requests, we're going to start in the top right corner of Avestan and just work our way down like some kind of plague. Today, it's all about Brevoy. Don't forget, guys, our Doomsday Dawn Adventure playthrough giveaway is live right now. All we need to do to get it to fire is to get our Patreon to around $150 a month. We received a new patron last night, so we're well on our way to achieving that goal, but we could still use your help to make it fire, and I'm still gonna need some players to feed to some alien mummies and stuff. Patronage does get you an extra entry. If you'd like to learn more about the giveaway, you can follow this card right here. And as always, our Patreon link is in the description. Hey, speaking of that new patron, today we got to shout out patron number 5. He's not quite high enough on the tier list to make a regular shout out, but nevertheless, today, this episode of the Inner Sea region, a 5-minute tour, was brought to you in part by Nicholas Cirillo. Nick, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for critiquing me back in the day and then afterwards, sticking around, commenting on my stuff, talking to me about nerd stuff, and now having enough faith in me to throw money in the jar and help us become bigger, badder, CR20 awesome on YouTube. Now let's get to it, shall we? Brevoy is a nation in far northeastern Avestan on the verge of tearing itself apart. Brevoy was once two vastly different nations locked in a constant state of war before being conquered by a despot. After centuries under the rule of a line of conquerors that only recently disappeared, Brevoy must now decide its own destiny. Being so far north, winters are long and harsh in Brevoy. The short spring and summer seasons require the populace to farm and fish just enough to keep food on the table. Brevoy is a relatively young nation, having only existed since 4499 AR. The history of Brevoy before this time is the history of two warring nations, Issia and Rossland. The coming of Coral the Conqueror changed all this. After securing the two nations' surrender, Coral christened his family House Rogarvia. Coral only ruled this land for a decade before disappearing, leaving his descendants to rule, using the threat of the Conqueror's return and his fearsome dragon allies to maintain their power. The dragons seemingly disappeared after Brevoy's creation, but they returned once to lay siege to Skywatch, a sort of observatory fortress held by those still loyal to Rossland. The Rogarvians' rule ended with the mysterious disappearance of every member of the family in 4699, leaving Brevoy in a precarious political position. There are a lot of legends of Coral arriving at Needle Lake with a ragged band of soldiers and knights, numbering about 300, where have we heard that before? But really, Coral arrived in what is today Brevoy after crossing the Lake of Mists and Veils from Ioberia. He met with Lord Nikos Sertova of Issia, who immediately surrendered in the face of a large army in exchange for retaining their prestige and possessions. Only then did Coral turn his attention to Rossland and its famous Eldori sword lords, who we might talk about later if we do a Factions of the Inner Sea series, who did fall in much the way the legends recount, red dragons everywhere burning everyone to a crisp. Brevoy is currently ruled by King Naleski Sertova of House Sertova, who claimed the throne in 4699. He's only maintained his rule by allying with former enemies and using fear of the return of Rogarvia as a tool to unite Brevoy and its noble families. Most of Issia supported the ascension, but Rossland, of course, has done so reluctantly. Still, some houses, such as House Orlovsky, only acknowledge Naleski as reigning Lord Regent, and diplomatic relations are growing tense. Present day, it appears that Brevoy is getting ready to split itself back in two once again. And I think right there is how we bring our adventurers to Brevoy. The entire place is about to explode in civil war, and you know it comes with civil war, right? Experience points, treasure, the ability to slay red dragons that come back to Brevoy. It's everything our adventurers have ever wanted. Also, it's a good staging point to jump over into Ioberia, an entirely new region that we'll probably talk about once we get done with the rest of Avestan and the Inner Sea region, a 5-minute tour. And from there, the rest of Kazmaron, the Padishah Empire of Kalesh, Vudra, it all goes on. Really, Galarion is a humongous, well thought out place, and we only see really in detail this very small little bit of it. I'd love to see more official stuff from Paizo, maybe in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. We'll get to go to Casmeron, go to Arcadia, fingers crossed on that one. Now, of course, like all the other places on Galarion that we've talked about, Brevoy has a real world equivalent. Here, we're looking at Russia. You know, a country that has long, cold winters, living next to nomads, noble houses fighting for control. Speaking of that, Paizo has also noted that Brevoy is very much based on a song of ice and fire, which I guess is the best, like, bait to keep our players away from Brevoy, is it's based on Game of Thrones, and everyone you love will die if you go to Brevoy at very unexpected moments. But that's enough out of me. What do you guys think about Brevoy? Have you ever adventured here? Have you ever shown up to anywhere in the Inner Sea region with an army of dragons and, you know, conquered the place? Or have you ever gone to Ioberia? And if so, I'd be curious to hear what you found there and how your GM ran it, because again, it's a region we don't see a whole lot of. As always, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. The next episode of the Inner Sea region, a 5-minute tour, drops next Friday.